Welcome to r/Pettyrevenge, where the revenge is small, but the satisfaction is huge. So, I broke up with my boyfriend about 2 months ago, just after his birthday. I got him VIP concert tickets for both of us to go see some rap guy he really loves. The venue is like a 2-hour drive away from where we live. Naturally, we're not going to go anymore after we broke up. I kind of forgot about the tickets and wrote them off as money lost since I can't sell them because you need my ID along with the tickets to get in. That's gonna be important. But this morning, a mutual friend of us texted me asking me if I know about him still going to the concert. Apparently, he booked a hotel room for him and his new girlfriend near the venue and is planning on enjoying the concert with her. I wasn't mad about it since it was his birthday gift, and even though I broke up with him because he was being abusive, I still wanted him to enjoy this evening with his new girlfriend. Only problem now is the ID thing. But I was feeling generous, so I wanted to send him a copy of my ID and gave the venue a heads up to let him know that it was alright for him to use the tickets. So I texted him, telling him our mutual friend told me he's going to the concert, blah blah. But before I could even get to the part of where he needs my ID to get in, he already told me to mind my own freaking business and to go duck myself, and a handful of other surprisingly creative insults. Wasn't really in the mood to get insulted, so I just wished him a great time at the concert and blocked him. Have fun driving 2+ hours to a concert you're not getting into, buddy. I'm just imagining the new girlfriend getting so excited that this is probably her second or third date, and her fancy new boyfriend is taking her to a concert, which I bet he'll say that he bought the tickets for. I bet he even says that he bought the tickets specifically for her. Oh man, I would have loved to hear that fight on the drive home. Our next Reddit post is from Not So Sure. I was in line at a grocery store cashing out a 12-pack. A woman walks towards me and takes her place in line. However, instead of standing behind me in line, she decided to stand right beside me. The woman in front of me finishes her transaction, and what do you know, the lady beside me actually pushes past me and tries to cut me. Honestly, in my head, I was about to just let her go because she clearly was in a much bigger rush than I, and I personally didn't mind waiting an extra 2 minutes. No big deal to me. However, the awesome cashier, who's cashed me out frequently, says to her, I'm sorry, but she was waiting here before you. The lady scoffs and steps aside. With a huge smile, I make sure to have a nice and lengthy, how's your day? Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Did you do anything fun on Halloween? Chat with the cashier. She knew. I knew. The whole time, I felt the lady in a rush's eyes burning a hole in the back of my head, and I was just loving every minute of it. Thanks, awesome cashier. Then we have a similar story from the meat whistle down in the comments. I had a similar experience years ago. I was waiting patiently in my insurance agent's office and had been there a half hour. There was only one lady working, and it was Friday evening. Some butthole comes in and basically stands up when it's my turn. I told him I was next, calmly, and he starts trying to beg me to let him go because he's in a hurry. Yeah, dude, we all are. This guy actually followed me into her office trying to skip the line, and I'm getting pissed off. The agent told him, sorry, you'll have to come back Monday morning. I'm closing shop after this. He was pissed. After he left, she told me she would have taken care of him, but she didn't like his attitude. Our next Reddit post is from 572XL. Backstory, I manage my landlord's IT services in exchange for a couple of dollars off my rent, occasionally standing up a server or converting systems to VMware, etc. I live in an apartment split in a single family home with one guy who's on a separate level/apartment. My neighbor continuously has been making noise at 1 to 3:30 a.m., whether it's hammering, vacuuming, or knocking on my door complaining. My landlord asked him to stop, but after a knock around 3:30 complaining how the internet is slow, I had it. The second time I've awoke due to him knocking on my door in the past 12 hours. I've effing had it. I logged onto our router last week and blocked all the porn in pettiness. This time, I blocked his devices from connecting, period, until he grows up. It's always him cussing in a drunken rampage at insane hours in the morning. I went to knock on his door around 7 a.m. to tell him to F off, and we're having internet problems. I'll turn it back on sometime. Next time, I'm gonna route his traffic through something and cause a 1-second delay in his streaming. When are people going to learn? Never mess with the IT guy. Our next Reddit post is from Bella Anima. Not my story, but a family friend story. I knew this lovely German lady who I'll call Heidi, not her real name. She was married to an Israeli man who I'll call Douche. Douche was a douche for a number of reasons. He worked with my dad in IT, who said he had a hero complex where he would cause disasters at work and then try to be the hero and save the day. We even suspect he caused a huge IT disaster at our national airport while he was working there. He was also really creepy. He creeped on my younger sister, calling her randomly and asking to pick her up. He was the exact opposite of his wife, who was lovely and sweet and charismatic, and I have no idea how they ended up together. Unfortunately, a while after we made friends with them, Heidi got very sick. Her colon stopped working. She almost died. Thankfully, she was in a country with stellar healthcare, which saved her life, but she found out she has Crohn's disease, and she has to get a colostomy bag. While she was recovering from surgery, Douche announced he wanted to divorce. His words were, and I quote, "I didn't marry a sick woman." Effing prick. He left her high and dry and very soon was seeing someone else. He lost all the friends he'd made in our country with his awful behavior. My family told him he was no longer welcome near us as we were there for Heidi. He finally screwed off back to Israel. Apparently, he had gotten into quite a bit of debt while in my country and skipped off to avoid paying. Good riddance, we all said. Heidi found her feet eventually. She took up photography and went to university to study it. She did very well for herself and lived a happy life free from Douche. After about a year, Douche contacted Heidi and she told us all about it. Apparently, he was trying to sweet talk her into going over to Israel to go through with the divorce proceedings. According to Heidi, your marital status is on your identity card in Israel. And it's one of the first things a girl asks to see when you go on a date. When the girl saw he was married on his card, they'd never go for a second date. So every time he'd call her asking when she was coming over, she'd put a huge grin on and say, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not really in a position to fly with my condition and all. Maybe when I get better." She knew full well he won't set foot back here because his creditors were still looking for their money back. She would just relish in the knowledge that he was getting rejected by all those women he was pursuing in Israel, while she chilled with us having a great time. Heidi's doing much better now. She went back to Germany, though still visits my family and her friends from time to time. She's still her awesome self. I don't know what Douche is up to now, but I suspect after all these years, he's still a douche. Not just a douche, a single douche. Our next Reddit post is from Campbell CNS. I was riding on an Uber pool this morning when an incredibly inconsiderate individual got in the passenger seat. He pulled out his phone and started watching videos at full volume and blasting music. "Do you happen to have headphones?" I asked. "No, why would I need headphones?" he responded. "Because you're in a car with other people and it's considerate to not force everyone else to listen to your videos and music?" "That sounds like a you problem," he replies, going back to watching his video. So I pulled out my phone and blasted Baby Shark from the backseat for the remainder of the ride. If he turned around or got upset, well, that's a you problem. That's revenge, doot doo 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 doo. That's revenge, doot doo 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 doo. Serves you right, doot doo 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 doo. Serves you right, doot doo 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 doo. Our next Reddit post is from Fubar754. I take the train into work every morning. It's nice to sit and have a coffee and get ready for the day on the way in. In the trains, most seats will fit 2 people, except for the in-car seats, which can sit up to 4. And the trains fill up on the way in, and usually people end up having to stand in the aisles if they have the misfortune of getting on the later stops. Luckily, I have an early enough stop that there's always seats available. I noticed that there was one guy who was getting on and then taking one of those in-car seats and then spreading his bag and computer and everything else out across the seat so no one else could sit in the in-car seat. So I've made it my goal every morning to find him on the train, and before he's able to pull out all his stuff and spread it all over the seat, to sit down right across from him. So far, I'm up to 8 days in a row. Ha! Our next Reddit post is from James Bondi. I, a 22-year-old male, am currently on a flight that's about 5 hours. I'm stuck in the middle seat, so obviously already aggravated. The person in the window seat, important later, took his shoes off about 5 minutes into the flight. I asked him politely to put his shoes back on because it smelled like Cheez-Its and sweat. He responded, "I'm more comfortable like this." So at this point, I'm beyond livid. It's just rude. So about an hour later, he asked to pee and I responded, "I'm more comfortable like this." I sat there until he put his shoes back on. It's gross that he wanted to go to the bathroom without shoes on. Whatever, hope you enjoyed. This is a classic case of I'm not locked in here with your stinky feet. Your stinky feet are locked in here with me. Our next Reddit post is from Raw Chernobyl. This happened a while ago, but I just found this sub, so here goes. I used to live on the 3rd floor of an apartment that had its laundry in the basement, which means 4 flights of stairs for me, no elevator, and I have a newborn, so I'm washing quite a bit. So we have cubbies in the laundry room for our soap and stuff. I lived there a year and never had an issue leaving my soap down there. Apparently, some new people had moved in that were using my soap. When I realized it, I left a note asking that they stop. Nothing. They kept using. Okay, now I'm pissed. I got 2 bottles of soap, a blue colored one and a clear colored one. Marked the bottles clearly that they belonged to me so they couldn't accidentally say they thought they were theirs. And filled the blue soap with blue RIT dye. Filled the clear soap with unscented bleach. And waited. Didn't take long. The next morning, I hear screaming coming from the laundry room. 4 floors up, I heard it. I waited a while and ventured downstairs. In the laundry room, I found a bunch of wet clothes in the garbage that were bleach stained. 4 days later, I saw a young man get into a car with a blue stained t-shirt. Touch my effing stuff. Then we have a similar story from Mount Diabo Man in the comments. I had the same thing happen, but it was a roommate. I just separated from my ex-wife in a multi-tenant renting situation. Gallons of milk, orange juice, packages of hamburgers, and steak were missing. Left letters on the fridge, and I spoke personally to all of them. Nobody fessed up. Went on for weeks, labeled everything I owned. To find the douchebag, I put big labels on my orange juice saying, "Supplements, do not drink." Added a pint of liquid magnesium salts I had for a scheduled colonoscopy, and voila, the culprit was quickly discovered. He pooped his bed, floor, hallway, and was evicted. Good times. Our next Reddit post is from Soul Impact. I had this roommate who kept using my stuff in secret. I didn't notice this in the first few weeks, but soon realized that he had not only been using my toothpaste, but also fragrance, deodorant spray, shampoo, and all kinds of stuff from the fridge. Ketchup, sauces, etc. It just didn't make any sense how quickly these different products emptied. He used them more than I did. For example, I only used a fragrance when I went out on the weekend, but after 2 weeks, almost a quarter was gone. Since I always had to leave early in the morning, he had the freedom to use whatever he wanted. One evening, I asked him about this. He denied everything with big surprised eyes and swore that he only uses his stuff. So I had to set a trap for him. I chose the toothpaste tube because it was almost empty. I took a straw and poured a bit of salt inside. Since the toothpaste had already some kind of crystals inside, it was perfect for the salt crystals to blend in the mix. I placed the tube back where it was and waited for him to go brushing his teeth. There he went a bit before midnight, started brushing, and a few seconds later, I heard gagging noises. And after a few more seconds, I heard him vomiting in the toilet. I guess he didn't like the mix of sweet toothpaste and salt. When he finally dared to come out of the bathroom, he was fake smiling as if nothing happened. And he stopped using my stuff after that, or at least didn't use it as much. Then we have a great contribution from Lumberman Dan down in the comments. My dad worked at a facility where they had showers in their locker room. Since some of the chemicals they worked with were pretty gnarly, most guys took a shower at the end of their shift to make sure they didn't carry anything home in their hair or on their skin. So dad goes to use his brush one day and finds it's already wet from being used and a puddle at the locker next to his. He figured the guy must have forgotten his and let it slide. Then it happens day after day for maybe a week. Finally, Dad's had enough. He gets to the locker rooms ahead of everyone else on his shift and takes a lightning fast shower. When the guy at the locker next to his turned the corner, there was Dad. Towel over his shoulder, one leg up on the bench, and naked as could be, brushing out his pubes with the same brush the guy kept using. He never had another brush issue as long as he worked there. That was r/Pettyrevenge, and if you like this video, please let me know by hitting that like button because it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps my channel grow.